Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is some of my favourite witchy books. Well, obviously the obvious place to start is my very own book, All Acts of Love and Pleasure, Inclusive Wicca, which you can buy from Avalonia Books, and with a beautiful cover by Paul B. Rucker, which represents the divine androgyne. Now, the reason I wrote this book was that at the time in 2014, there was lots of books on gay witchcraft, queer witchcraft, but nothing on including both heterosexual people, queer people, and indeed bisexual people and pansexual people, all in the same circle. And that's what I was trying to do with this book. I have developed my ideas quite a lot since then, but I still think that there's a lot of good stuff in this book, and it has been widely acclaimed as a good introduction and kind of 201 level book to lead you on to the next level. I'm still very proud of this book. So another great book for seekers and beginners is the marvellous Traditional Wicca by Thorn Mooney, a seeker's guide, as it is subtitled. This is a really accessible guide to joining primarily Gardnerian Wicca, but also applied to Alexandrian Wicca and other initiatory witchcraft traditions, or initiatory Wicca traditions, I should say. It's very well written, it's very accessible, and it gives you a good idea of what joining a coven is like. And it also dispels some myths along the way, so highly recommended. Now, delving into some older material here, this is Nigel Pennick's Practical Magic in the Northern Tradition, and apparently it was this book that basically started a whole movement or revival of folkloric witchcraft. I love this book. It is an old friend, as you can kind of see by the way this is fairly well thumbed, and it's got so many wonderful things in it. It's got different stars and stones and trees, and it's got traditional folkloric spells from all over the northern tradition, basically. Really lovely book, highly recommended. Now, if you want to find out where all the Wiccan liturgy came from, this is an indispensable guide and analysis of Wiccan liturgy, and it's by Sarita Deste and David Rankin. And basically what they do is they go through all of the various texts that are in the traditional Wiccan Book of Shadows, and they analyse where they came from. And there's very surprising answers in here, and for all of you who love to analyse texts, then this is an absolute must read, and I really enjoyed it, and it's a pity it's not better known. Okay, more traditional witchcraft stuff here. This is a classic, Witchcraft, A Tradition Renewed, by Evan John Jones, and edited by Doreen Valiente, and she also wrote some poetry for it, which is very lovely. You can learn a lot about the Cochrane tradition from this book, and the wonderful thing about it is that, for me, riddles are completely inaccessible. So this stuff is mercifully free of the usual riddles that come with the Cochrane tradition, so it's very accessible for me. And it's got a lovely photo of a stag on the cover. It is a very fine book. If you want to learn more about the Cochrane tradition, this is a great place to start. Okay, another favourite. This is Call of the Horned Piper by Nigel Aldcroft Jackson. It's quite a slim volume. It has some wonderful stuff in it, very evocative of old style craft, and as you can see, it's also about traditional witchcraft. It's got a stang and a stag. This is such a great book. I loved it, and pity it's not better known. It's also talks about spirit lines, knots and thread lore and magic and ancestral fairy teachings. And it's also got the author's original, I guess they're lino cuts actually. Here's a lovely lino cut of the goddess Hela, drawn by the author. It's very good. I just realised that I actually have quite a large number of books about traditional craft in this selection that I've picked out for you, but that's because I'm really interested in the traditional craft. This is great. I am very keen on botany and plant lore and animals, having written my own books on those subjects. And this is A Witch's Natural History by Giles Watson, and also illustrated by the beautiful drawings of the author. So he talks about the traditional animals of the witch, like the toad and the hare and the snake and the spider, all things that, you know, people who aren't witchy don't really like, but we get excited about because spiders, who doesn't like spiders? I love spiders, they're great. And this has some wonderful things like a visualization of what it's like to be a caddisfly larvae at the bottom of a pond. So you can really get into your landscape with this. If you're a landscapey person, which I am, it's very good. Buy this book, it's very good. Right, here we have a truly marvellous book, Casting a Queer Circle, Non-Binary Witchcraft by Thistam and I. This is really, really good. I enjoyed this immensely, and in it they talk about ways of doing things in the circle that don't rely on gender, and they have some brilliant suggestions for different coven roles and ways of doing cakes and wine, and basically an entire new tradition of witchcraft that's grounded in queerness. So top. You can find more suggestions for books on witchcraft and queer witchcraft, and also Black and Indigenous approaches to witchcraft and folklore and related topics. You can find those on my blog, dowsingfordivinity.com, and I will doubtless be covering more of those in the near future. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of The Witch's Mirror, and I look forward to seeing you again. Blessed be. See you next time.